All right, we are back on the Real News. We were having some technical difficulties, so we're going to try to start back kind of where we left off. We were talking about April 15th, our tax system. If you consider your time to be your own property, then why does the government have the right to take your money if you trade your time for Federal Reserve fiat notes? Freedom is a nice word. It almost gives you the warm fuzzies inside when you say it. But, friend, we don't have much freedom anymore. We are licensed, permitted, taxed, and restricted in every step we make. If you don't believe me, buy some property and then try to make some improvements to it. We are drowning in a sea of bureaucracy with no end in sight. We never own our own property because we're never done paying taxes on it. So if you feel the same way, join us this Wednesday, April 15th at noon till 5 p.m. at the Civic Center downtown Statesville for a tax day protest. This is a national Tea Party event with over 1,800 protests around the country at the same time. These ridiculous bailouts are destroying our future, our country, and our economy, and the children's future. So I ask that everyone come out and stand up, and let's show that the people of Statesville and surrounding areas are sick of these high taxes, socialistic bailouts to corrupt bankers, runaway deficits, and a government that openly has total disregard of us, we the people. So again, join us this Wednesday, April 15th, downtown Statesville, noon till 5, corner of Front Street and Center Street. Make signs and just show up and be part of a real protest in an effort to make true changes for the sake of our children's future. Now, if you need to contact us, you can contact us at therealnewsradio.com, and you can call us at 704-902-9640. Brian, give your number.
704-682-3921.
For more information, if you call us today, call after 2 p.m. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to give a little bit of information on taxes. This year, the federal government is expected to spend $3.9 trillion. That's more than the total federal spending from the founding of the United States until 1974. 185 years. This year, the federal government is expected to borrow $1.75 trillion to finance its deficit. That's more than the total government borrowing from the founding of the United States until 1986, 196 years. The first income tax in 1913 required just 2% of American families to complete a tax return. The highest tax rate was 7%. The Gettysburg Address is 270 words. The Declaration of Independence is 1,337 words. The Holy Bible is 773,000 words. The IRS tax code, more than 3.4 million words, printed 60 lines to a page. It would fill more than 7,500 pages. That's ridiculous. The IRS sends out 8 billion pieces of paper to taxpayers every year. If they pasted together all their annual paperwork, it would wrap around the world 36 times. In 1894, the New York Times described the first income tax to pass Congress as a vicious, inequitable, unpopular, impolite, and socialistic act. The crusade for an income tax is the most unreasoning and un-American movement in the politics of the last quarter century. Before anyone calls in and says it, I believe we have to pay some taxes. We've got to have schools. We've got to have police. We should not have an income tax. Your time should not be taxed, and we should not have a property tax. You never own your property as long as you owe taxes on it. And this excessive, you pay back to the federal government 60% or more of every dollar you make, and you're a slave to the tax system. There's no freedom in that. That's what we're protesting, and also we're going to be protesting these unconstitutional, massive, trillion-dollar bailouts to the very same corrupt criminals that have decimated our economy. So, Brian, I'm going to turn it to you. We've got about 4 minutes before we go to a break. We got off on a rocky start. So, and after that, lead us in to tell us who our guest is, our first guest.
Our first guest here shortly will be Adam Kokesh of Iraq Veterans Against the War. He was in the United States Marine Corps Reserve, outspoken now against the war. Americans denounced as terrorists while criminals embraced. Paul Joseph Watson, PrisonPlanet.com, Thursday, April 9th, 2009. While federal agencies across the country write dossiers on how some of the most patriotic people in America are terrorists and criminals, the Obama administration is set to embark to push to legalize an estimated 20 million illegal immigrants who have already broken the law by entering the country illegally. The New York Times reports today Obama is set to launch a plan to make a legal status for a possible estimated 12 million illegal immigrants. The real number of illegal immigrants in America is estimated to be around 20 million. But forgive us for pointing out that illegal immigrants, whether they are white, black, brown, pink with polka dots, are criminals who have broken the law by entering the country illegally. No doubt that Obama Kool-Aid drinking liberal blogs will now claim that the mere mention of such a thought crime means we are virulently racist. Indeed, it's perfectly reasonable for the government to reward criminals who have already broken the laws of the land while training police forces across the nation that American citizens of whatever race or color are a threat to society because they have a political bumper sticker, support a third-party candidate, or are somehow knowledgeable about the Constitution and Bill of Rights. The infamous MIAC report has now been superseded by a new document, the 2009 Virginia Terrorism Threat Assessment, produced by the Virginia Fusion Center. This new report smears anyone who is anti-government or anti-abortion as potential terrorists, equates people who enjoy rifle shooting practice and hunting with terrorists, and demonizes the use of the internet and websites like YouTube as terrorist tools. The document also discusses special interest groups who incorporate a political message in its section about domestic terrorists, which could be defined as any mildly political organization whatsoever. Despite the report listing political groups that it admits do not support violence nor have ever engaged in violence, it defines being confrontational during demonstrations within the context of domestic terrorism. However, it's yet another clear indication that the government is completely out of control and desperate to send a chill down the spine of millions more Americans who are thinking of joining the burgeoning liberty movement by smearing members of peaceable political movements and criminals and potentially violent terrorists while equating them with racist extremists. Meanwhile, the tens of millions...
Hold that thought. We're coming up on a break. We got off there just a little bit on our time, so we will be back with